You are welcome to this topic. What type of learner are you? What type of learner are you? This is a brief lecture, and you are introduced to it, believing that at the end you will be able to identify the type of learner you are. There is no doubt that learners may be classified as fast learners, average learners, slow learners, or laggards. But some are what they are presently because they do not know their learning styles. So knowing your learning style or your children's learning style will definitely improve one's study and achievement in life. Having said so, that will take us to some pertinent questions. One is, what is learning? Who is a learner? What is learning style? What are the types of learners? Learning is the process of gaining knowledge, skills, attitude, or values through experience, practice, study, or being taught. A learner is a person who is engaging in a certain operation to gain the desired knowledge, skills, attitude, or values. Learning style is a particular way through which a learner gains or processes information for learning to occur. Type of learners refers to a class of learners that share a particular quality or features like learning style. Therefore, there are 9 types of learners classified based on 3 categories of learning, as we can see in the chart here. This chart classifies learners into 3 categories. Of course, we have said that there are 9 types of learners, but these learners are classified based on certain features. So looking at the classification of learners, you will see that learners are classified based on 3 features. The first is sensory learning style, second is personal learning style, and the third is informational learning style. So learners are classified based on 3 different categories of learning styles. So the first one, which is on sensory learning style, classifies learners based on the sense organs through which they access information, through which they take in information, through which they obtain information. And they are classified into 4. The first one is visual learner. These learners use their eyes. They learn better using vision. Second is the auditory learners who learn better through hearing. The third is kinesthetic learners. They learn better through the sense of touch. And the fourth in this category is reading, writing learners. They learn better through reading and writing to process their information. The second category is personal learning styles. This classification is based on the environment or the relationship between the learner and the environment. It's based on the process through which information is taken in, the environment in which information is taken in by the learner. It is classified into two, the solitary and the social. The solitary interpersonal learners learn better when they are alone, while the social learners learn better in social gathering. The third category here is informational learning style. This is classified into three, where we have the verbal learners or the linguistics. They learn through verbs, through words, through languages. The second is the mathematical learners. They like figures, numbers, and logic ideas, systematic ideas. While the third here under this category is the auditory musical learners who learn through rhythms, tones of sounds. Visual learner. The visual is also referred to as the special learner. Visual or special learner prefer learning through seeing and observing things such as pictures, diagrams, written directions, and more. They learn through sight, understanding information better when it is presented in a visual way. This class of learners constitutes 65% of the population in our classrooms and even at home. They prefer graphic elements to words. This class of learners, the whiteboard or the smart board is your best friend as a teacher when teaching these types of learners. Auditory or oral learners. These learners tend to learn better when the subject matter is reinforced by sound. They just constitute 30% of the population. They prefer lecture and discussion. The learners rather listen to a lecture than read written notes, and they often use their own voices to reinforce new concepts and ideas. Watching videos and using musics or audio tapes are useful, are also helpful ways of learning for this group. So parents are advised to note their children if they belong to this class in order to give them what they require for them to improve from their present level of fast learning or slow learner or moderate learner to where they are supposed to be. Kinesthetic learners are also called hand-on learners. Kinesthetic, physical or tactile learners prefer learning through the sense of touch, experiencing or doing things physically. They constitute 5% of the population in our classrooms and even at home. They like to get involved in learning by carrying out a physical activity to practice, or using their hands to touch and handle things to understand concepts. They prefer concrete personal experience to process information by recruiting and practicing. Reading and writing learners. These learners learn better by reinforcing information through written words and process it through writing words. So they take in information through reading and try to process it through writing so that learning can take place and retained in their memory. These learners prefer to learn through writing words. While there is some overlap with visual learning, these types of learners are drawn to expression through writing, reading articles or books, writing in diaries, looking up words in the dictionary, and searching the internet for just about everything. Solitary learners. Under these solitary learners, you remember that they are classified under personal learning style. And we have the solitary learner. These learners prefer to use self-study and work alone. They prefer being away from the crowd and learn best in a quiet place where they can focus on the task at hand. Solitary learners are independent and are very self-aware and in tune with their thoughts and feelings. Social learners, otherwise known as interpersonal learners. They love to learn in groups and work with others. They are generally good listeners who are thoughtful and understanding. Social learners know how to communicate effectively and enjoy collaborating with others, brainstorming and discussing ideas and concepts. Visual learners. These are linguistics learners. They prefer using words both in speech and in writing, especially language. They can easily express themselves and usually love to read and write. Verbal learners tend to have a vast vocabulary and excel in activities that involve speaking, debating, and journalism. Mathematical learners. These learners learn better and excel when patterns, logic, reasoning, and numbers are involved. Linguistic learners function and solve complex problems by employing strategies and their scientific ways of thinking. The computer programming, mathematics, and sciences are usually enjoyed by these class of learners. The auditory musical learners. The auditory musical learners take in information through their sensitivity to rhythms and sounds. This is a bit different from that of the auditory. The auditory does not take note or cognizance of the rhythm, the tone, the frequencies of sounds coming in. But the auditory music learners learn through the rhythms and the sounds, notes, and frequencies that come in. They have the capacity to discern pitch, rhythms, timbres, and tones. The best method for auditory music learners are to study with music in the background or to turn their note into rhythms. Summary. There are 9 types of learners which are classified based on sensory, personal, and information learning styles. None of these type of learning style, especially in sensory learning style, is better than the other. 2 or more of the learning styles can be combined to increase a learner's rate of learning. That is, if you have found that your student or your children or your child is a slow learner or average or moderate learner, you can improve the rate at which the person learns by combining any of these styles. By combining maybe visual and audio or tactile, kinesthetic, and any of them, you see that the person will improve better. So the classification of learners into spatial, fast, moderate, slow learners, or laggards to a high degree, to a very high extent, depends on the correct identification of a learner and appropriate use of instructional aid by teachers or parents for effective learning among students. Thank you, and may God bless you for listening.